I like Lord of the Rings. I have to admit, though, I don't actually know, like, the deep lore of Lord of the Rings. My experience is watching the movies, then reading the books, and then after college, I went to New Zealand on a tour. But I don't know my Silmarillions and my unfinished tales. And I live in constant worry about this because the big mean nerds may come and beat me up someday. So I decided to rectify this, and the only way to rectify this is diving deep into it. Now, my plan was to read the Silmarillion, and knowing me, I'm probably mispronouncing that. But the problem with this particular book, even though it gives you the deep lore of Lord of the Rings, it's not a conventional narrative. It's more a collection of tales from the universe, starting at the very beginning of the creation of the world. So here's my plan at the moment. I'm going to review each story separately. That will work, and then probably at the end I'll combine them all into one huge compilation video. Hopefully we'll approach another subject with similar rigor. So the best place, I think, to start this story is at the beginning. The creator of the universe is Iru, and he instructs his children of thought, the Ainur, to start singing in harmony. I have to say, I know I mispronounce words a lot. I do sincerely try and get the pronunciation correctly. It just happens a lot, and I get very nervous every time I do it. He instructs them to start singing a grand harmony together. And they can make whatever music they want, but he gives them premises. And it's all going really well until Malcor arrives and starts singing over the other guys. Now, Malcor, you can tell from his name, is a little bit different. Everybody else is perfectly content to just hang out and sing in harmony. But Malcor yearns for something. Malcor's fundamental desire is to create his own sentient beings. To do that, you need the flame imperishable, which belongs to one and only Erus. So he's been unable to achieve this dream of his. The problem is that this journey through the void was honestly quite a bad idea. And the time spent alone with his thoughts has honestly allowed his mind to go to some strange places, and he no longer thinks like the rest of his siblings. So whenever they try and create music, he sings over them, loudly interrupts. So the music Malcor plays is described as a series of loud trumpet noises. So, that means one thing and one thing only. He was playing ska, being trapped in an infinite void where nothing exists. Yeah, I can see that experience making you get into ska. Boop, 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 boop. Think he's into Less Than Jake? Or Streetlight Manifesto, that's a killer band. So then the one above all, that's his name if you translate it from Elvish into, I guess, humanish, shows his children what they've done. Their music has created the world. And he shows them a grand vision of all that will happen. The biggest thing that everybody's excited for is that men and elves will come and rule over the land. A lot of them get very excited and ask if they can go down and help prepare for their arrival. And Malcor comes too because, of course he would. That's just his deal. But when they arrive to the world, they find nothing really exists. So they spend untold millennia building the world, prepping for the arrival of men and elves, while Malcor seeks to undo everything that they did. Malcor fundamentally craves a kingdom of his own. So it goes like this for centuries. They attempt to create the world, and Malcor destroys it. But what really irritates them is that the rest of the Valar. So there are two classes of Ainur, and the beings that entered into the world are called the Valar. The Valar start taking on bodies. Now, it's explained that the Valar are essentially wearing clothes. Like, the bodies that they inhabit aren't, like, themselves. They're just outfits that they're wearing. But this irritates Malcor because they look flippin' great, and Malcor decides to take on a form himself. And eventually, the elves and men do arrive, and this is the beginning of life, essentially, in the world. I hope I got to everything, and I'm sure the super knowledgeable people are mad at me for missing something. I'm sorry. I like it. Of course I did. I'm up for all this cool stuff. I think Malcor is an interesting character, at least, because, fundamentally, you would theoretically sympathize with him for wanting a little bit of individualism and a place to call his own. But like all true tyrants, he can't really conceive of a world where he gets to be individual and free, and everybody else does as well. For him, freedom means oppressing everybody else. And I think that's really interesting. And the fact that it kind of comes out of Eru shaming him initially for messing up the song of creation. Like, this is explicit. It says that initially he was ashamed that he screwed it up, but because he was ashamed, he got mad at everybody for making him feel bad. It's the world's fault for making you feel scared and alone. I don't know, that feels real to me. That almost sounds like a narcissist. The rest of Malcor's siblings kind of just want to let Malcor do whatever Malcor wants somewhere else. Malcor could be the king of a place, but he just can't get over that other people think negatively. You could argue that he's the main character of this story, which I'm doing right now, I guess. I know the pronunciations for everything went sideways and south and all over the place, but yeah, this was fun. I enjoyed this.